Hey you guys, Ashley here with Keeping It Crafty with Ashley. So I am going to be doing a brush stroke class and talking about the difference between the what a liner brush is and a rigger brush is. And this is what I've learned over the years of what the difference is. So they're both detail brushes, but they're not identical. They do get used loosely, but for me, what makes it easier for me to remember is that liner brushes are kind of like script liners, and they're designed for very fine, controlled lines. They typically have shorter bristles than the rigger brushes. So, for example, like these two, these are a little bit shorter than these, which are rigger brushes, and they hold a smaller amount of paint for tight detail work, smaller detail work, and you use them usually for like lettering, small outlines, or very delicate accents. And I can show you an accent real quick before we get into them. For example, I used a liner brush for these smaller details here in our latest Patreon class. And I used a liner brush for these shorter, fatter brushes, or I'm sorry, designs. So then you have your rigger brushes, and I'm going to pull those. So this is a liner. So your 3 is going to be a liner. And this is a set from Dots of Love Canada. They have a great handle. They're purple, great packaging, and I'll show you the packaging here. They come in this package, and they all have these sleeves and covers that go over the bristles to protect them during shipping. And this is the card that comes with it, but I pulled it out because I wanted you guys to be able to see it. So like this is a rigger brush, I'm sorry, a liner brush. Where's my other one? This is a liner brush, and these are the 2 that I use for those small details that I just showed you. And then we're going to paint too, but I just wanted to kind of give you an overview before we just jumped right into it. And then I've got the 3-0 and the 2-0. These can be kind of used interchangeably, I feel like, because they are shorter, but you'll still get those nice longer like tails. And these are absolutely rigger brushes here. So they've got the longer bristles, they hold more paint, allowing for long continuous lines without having to reload in between. Like we still need to reload in between as we're doing mandala art, but reload as far as from here to here, we'll probably get about there with the paint that we loaded onto our brush. But we use them for lines, maybe like branches, grass, or maybe you're into calligraphy and you want to sign your name with it. That's what rigger brushes are for. These are for like lettering, and yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and start using them. Enough talking, let's start using them. So let's start with the liner brushes. So this is the size 3, and this is the 5-0. So 3 and 5-0. These are I consider liner brushes. Let me move these out of the way. And I've got just some paint here. Let's start with red. So to load them up, I'm gonna mix, literally playing with the paint. So for example, like this is probably too much. You can see, maybe you cannot, that it's literally getting ready to drip off. So I'm gonna just put some back. And that looks like a pretty good amount. Nothing's dripping off, and I can kind of go like this, and paint's not flying everywhere. So this is the size 3. And let's go left to right first. We won't do any designs, but I just want to show you the difference in line work first. So I'm pressing down firmly, coming up. And we can go like that for a nice tail. Now say I don't, let me zoom this in. Let's say I don't reload my brush, okay? Let's see the difference between the 2. And actually it still holds a pretty good amount. And to get a nice tail, I do like to kind of spin my brush in between my fingers. I don't know if you saw that. So let me write what size this is. This is a 3. Oops, I keep liner. I'm not used to having liners in my So this is when I first loaded it. This is the second time without reloading. And this is the amount of pressure that I want to put on. And this is just cardstock, so it is going to paint a little bit differently as far as how smooth the paint comes off. So let's say I don't press as firmly that here. So I would say I'm doing like medium pressure here. And then the second time, pressing down and then pulling up like that. And that's medium pressure. So again, let's do a design. So I'm going to load up my brush. For this, I would do something like what I showed you, that other one on that here. I'm going to grab more paint here. It just makes it so effortless. Maybe here's when I would probably use the smaller brush, the smaller liner brush. We can even, and I'll show you, let's see how long we can get. Here, let's go above here. So this is full pressure coming up, and that's about as long as we're gonna get with our paint on the liner brush. So that's the 3-0, or I'm sorry, the 3. All right, so next we have the 5-0. This is the other liner brush, okay? Let's do it different. So this is a 5-0. So 5-0 liner. Let me do a different color. So again, my brush is dry, and I just used water to clean my brush off. All you need is clean water and what you're looking for. And also I want to add too, if you are switching between colors, you want to make sure your brush is entirely dry and clean. And like I said, I'm just using water, and the bristles should all stay together. So again, this is the 5-0. I'm just kind of playing with the paint. We don't want paint to be able to flick off. Like, see how it's starting to fall off of the brush a little bit? That tells me it's too much. So if it's dripping off the tip of the brush like that, I just kind of dab it back into the paint, and then that'll fix it. All right, here we go. So this is the 5-0 liner brush, pressing down firmly, then pulling up, and I twirl the brush in between my fingers. And you see, just with that one, I can get pretty long with this one. Pressing down firmly, pulling up, and yeah, I can get pretty long with this one. Check that out. And that's just the difference between the sizes, right? Again, like that's more of like a rounder, like a round brush. All right, so let's do one where we press down firmly, pull up. Oh yeah, and I'm not going to pick up paint. See how there's more paint on the top? So I'm just going to flip it over, and let's see how it looks with like medium pressure. Yeah, you're always going to want to reload, especially with these lighter colors. Otherwise, it's going to look like that, okay? It's like this one would be good for like letters. Let's see. Let's do some like arches here. Some like comma strokes. We'll do side by side, and I grab more paint, and you notice I have not washed my brush off. Yeah, you can get your tails pretty long with this one, but also you can stay nice and small. So like this would be good for these guys here as well. And I'm grabbing paint each time, and I'm not wiping or cleaning my brush off. Let's just do a cute little one here on the side. You still get that nice little Little tail is what I call them, like that. So 5-0. 5-0 I think is going to be a really good friend of mine. And it really just all depends on your space. And let me show you again this mandala we've been working on for a Patreon class. It just all depends on what style you want. Like this is that size 3 brush, so they're fatter, shorter. And this is the 5-0 brush. They're still wider. I still get my wide swoosh style brush strokes, but then I'm able to make the tail longer. Or I'm sorry, shorter. So that's the 5-0. And if you guys have any questions in the comments, or you want me to or have any questions, put them in the comments, or you want me to explain something further, or maybe I missed something with this brushstroke class, leave them in the comments and I will be happy to create another video, or just maybe we get together and we do a little mini class like live so that you guys can ask me. But I figured just to start we could just do this for you to refer to whenever you need it. All right, so we've got the 2-0 liner brushes. I've washed off my 5-0 and I want to show you the difference. And I'm going to go ahead and wet mine. I usually like to wet mine too before, because I just want to make sure my bristles are behaving. Like I don't want to see any strays like hanging around, or maybe like they're split. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, here you go. Here's one. This is a very old brush. It was one of my favorites, but see how crazy it is. Let me see if I wet it, if it goes back together. And it's not. So if it doesn't go back together, I don't know why I'm hoarding this, but I should just go ahead and toss this, because yeah, it's time. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I don't want the hairs to split like that. 3-0 is a little bit thinner. Let me get rid of this guy. Than your 2-0. So you're gonna get wider, fatter brush strokes with your 2-0 than you are your 3-0. So let's see. And I usually just stick with the 2-0, because depending on how much pressure you apply, you can get that 3-0 look, but it really is about preference and comfortability. So I'll show you. So this is a 2-0 and this is a rigger brush. What I think is a rigger brush. So I'm going to use yellow. And again, let me show you guys. So same thing. Mixy, picking up. And I want to be able to, yeah, that's a little too much. So I'm going to just dab it back in. This is a rigger brush. And you'll immediately be able to see the difference. See how thin that is? We can get pretty long here, depending on how long we want it. So I'm going to grab again and I'll show you. So you're going to press down firmly. And I would say about half of the bristles are on my cardstock. And then about halfway from where I want to end, and I'm just going to end it with the top brush stroke, I'm going to start pulling up. And we can get pretty darn long. So I'm not going to reload my brush. You know, I already used the bottom, so I'm going to flip it over just so that you guys can see how important it is to reload. Pressing down firmly, especially with these lighter colors, you're going to want to reload and see. It doesn't look as good. So I'm going to grab more. And I hold my brush like a pencil. So again, let's do like light pressure. So I'm not going to press down halfway. I'm very lightly going across. We still get pretty darn far. But let's see the difference between. So again, grabbing more paint, and I'm just sticking with pretty much just the tip of the brush. I'm not using the whole brush. And we get so much longer. All right, so let's do full pressure. So I'm going to curve. I'm pressing down firmly, so my bristles are halfway. I'm able to get pretty long. Actually, I'm sorry. There we go. Okay, getting more of that yellow. I'm just going to follow the curve around, pressing down, coming around. Again, pressing down, I grab more paint. Just following that last one. Let's see how long we can get. Yeah, you can get pretty long, you guys. Okay, so that is the 2-0 rigger brush. Close this up. Next is the 3-0. We'll see the difference between the 3-0 and the 2-0. So 3-0 rigger. All right, so let me make sure I grab the right one. So this is the 3-0. Again, loading up. Making sure no paint's dripping off. So pressing down firmly, about a little bit more than halfway. This one's even longer. So it's smaller, as in thinner than the 2-0, but because it's thinner, you get longer brush strokes. Again, that one is with full pressure. Now let's not grab more paint. I'm going to flip it over, pressing down. That was firmly. And again, just an example of why you should reload your brush. So grabbing more paint, and we're going to do light pressure. So this is light pressure, so I'm just going to use the tip of the brush. So about that much pressure, literally just the tip of it is what's on the paper. And see, we don't get as long, but we're nice and thin. Again, pressing down just the tip of your brush. Same thing, nice and thin. All right, let's do some arches here. Let's go this way. So pressing down firmly. Okay, about halfway. And then I'm pulling up where I want my tail to end. Oops, see, I had that. Well, okay, that's gonna stay there. Didn't look at my brush. So again, I'm gonna pretty much act like I'm dotting here, pressing down, and I'm pointing my brush where I want it to go. Looks like a lizard tail. So pretend I'm dotting, pressing down firmly, making sure I have control of the brush, like it doesn't feel like it's gonna slip out from underneath me. And a good indication that you have enough paint on your brush is if your whatever surface you're painting on isn't grabbing your bristles, and a lot of it is feel. Grabbing more paint, and I'm not wiping my brush off. Let's get smaller here. And there, that was light pressure. Grabbing more paint, just using the tip of the brush. Maybe we should go through and do it all like this. It's very therapeutic, so I didn't really even think. I just started going. And see, we can't get those nice little long tails, but it's still pretty decent. Let's do one more. Let's see how small we can get. Bink. Can't get the tail. But we can make one. We can fake one. So that's the 3-0. And we'll go back through and we'll play with the other ones again, kind of like we did here. Okay, so this is the 0 liner brush. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I want to make sure I use them all because there's 6 total. So this is the 0. So we're going to get wider, fatter, and longer brush strokes. So again, I like to just check to make sure my bristles are behaving. There aren't any, and I just wet it, so, and then I'm going to dry it off. And you want to take care of your brushes. Every once in a while, you really want to make sure you get into this little area here. And I like to use water and isopropyl alcohol to help clean this out, because this does get kind of crusty, musty. We don't want crusty brushes. So that's another, if it starts to not behave, the bristles, they start kind of like separating. That's another good indication you might need to clean up here. But sometimes you just use them so often, it's time for a new set. All right, so this is the Zero Rigger brush. Right, Zero Rigger. Let's play around. So again, we're gonna load up our brush, mixing around, picking it up. Again, we don't want any paint to drip off. Okay, so pressing down firmly. Again, half of the bristles are on the surface. And I'm picking up, and it's still going and going, and I could probably still go, but I want to leave myself some space here for the purple, for the last color. So again, let's do another one, pressing down firmly. I'm gonna start picking up here. I mean, I could go even longer if I wanted to. So, oops, I'll do it again. I was gonna show you if I did not reload. So I'm gonna press down lightly. So again, just the tip of the brush. They still get pretty darn long. Oops, wasn't supposed to reload. Okay, this next one I won't reload. So this is light pressure. I'm just angling my brush where I want it to go to. So this is without reloading, pressing down, and I did full pressure because, again, just want to show you, and I can't even get my bristles to come together because I ran out of paint. Okay, so let's do some fun little brush strokes. So again, we can get nice and wide, and then come around, little C shape. I'm grabbing more paint. I've not washed my brush off. I used to think I had to clean my brush off every time, or at least every 2 brush strokes. So pressing down firmly. You want to make sure you have control of your brush. Yeah, no, I guess let's bring the tails together. Again, I grab more, pressing down, pulling up about halfway from where I want to end. Again, pressing down firmly to get those that nice wide brush stroke up at the top, and then I'm bringing all my tails together. Again, I grab more paint, pressing down. About halfway from when I want to end is when I start pulling up. Again. And I have told myself, so for example, see how on my, this last one I kind of cleaned up my brush strokes a little bit. I always remind myself that last brush stroke is going to matter the most. These here won't matter as much as far as tails, because that last one is what we'll use to clean up those tails. Do I have any? I can show you an example. Well, this is a good example. I mean, like if I press down, and I've got a couple of brush strokes, like kind of like tails that are kind of like all over the place, I'll use this last one to really cover it up and clean it up. So you can get pretty small with these too, but it's just the amount of pressure, so I'm just getting lighter and lighter. And just using the tip here, just like that. and that's the 0. Next is the last one is the 1 rigger brush. Let's see, let's go down here. Gonna need some space. 1 rigger. And I see myself using all of these brushes versus some of the other sets that I've gotten from other creators. Just because the style of brushwork that we do, these are so versatile. I can use them more. Like the 3 and the other set is way too long. Like I don't ever see myself using that one. 1 is the largest, the longest I'll use. Oops, not blue. I want to use purple. Yeah, and I like to get stuff in 1 set versus 2. And so having both the liner and rigger brushes is great. All right, so pull it up. Okay, looking for it not to drip like that. We don't want it to drip like that, so I'm gonna put it back, and that looks pretty good. All right, here we go. I'm gonna go into blue a little bit here. Okay, halfway down is the pressure that I'm applying. Halfway, and I'm running out of paper, so I'm gonna start lifting, and I could have kept going. Look how long that brush stroke is. And I also like how wide the 1 and the 0 are, because sometimes, even if I don't want them to be this long, sometimes I just want those fatter brush strokes. So again, pressing down firmly. About halfway is what I'm looking for my bristles to be onto the whatever surface I'm painting on. And then when I'm ready to, and then again, the halfway point for when I start lifting up, I start looking at where I want to end. Oops. All right, let's do light pressure. So this is just the tip. So a little bit thinner, but we can still get long. Just thinner. Okay, I'm not going to reload this time. Pressing down, I got to press down pretty hard, pretty firmly. And again, we're going to run out of paint. And I also don't like, and these are just examples of why it's important to reload. And then I'm going to reload real quick, and we're going to do another light pressure. But I just wanted to show you guys these to show you how important it is to reload. So just the tip of your brush. And because I'm running out of paper, I'm going to go ahead and start lifting the brush. All right, so loading up again. We're not cleaning our brush off. Let's go this way. Pressing down firmly about halfway. Uh-oh. I mean, look how long we can get. So long. Okay, grabbing more paint. I'm just going to follow that line around. Pressing down firmly. Yeah, so for these long brush strokes, you're going to want your bristles to be sitting on your surface about halfway. All right, I'm going to bring my tails together. Pressing down firmly. And I'm going to start bringing them in together. I meant to do that for that second one to show you guys how I clean up. If I do make mistakes, I'm on the edge of my paper, pressing down firmly. I grab more paint too. And then I'm just going to start bringing them in together. Again, firmly. About halfway up, that's when right here is when I start lifting my brush up. So right where this curve is when I start lifting up. Again, run out of space here together. Let's get small. We can get small here too. Well, I meant short though. Like so. So that is the difference between all of the brushes. And let's do the 2-0 again. I want to see how. Let's do a little bit more with the 2-0. So that was yellow. So this is the 2-0. Let me show you. Hold on, Declan's coming.
For her toy.
Yeah, baby, it's coming.
I'm also taking one.
I know, it's got to ship. We can check the tracking when I get off, okay? I'm going to record this and then I'll be done. Cool? Thank you.
Let me check it is here.
Okay, let me finish this and then I'll let you check.
I only use my store and check nipple.
Okay.
Okay, let me get my store.
All right, so I'm gonna press down.
I need a store.
Okay, buddy.
I want to get it.
Okay, so I'm pressing down about halfway. And right where this curve is when I'm going to start lifting up and bringing my tails together, like so. So again, I'm going to press down firmly. And the paint should just glide right off. And right about here is when I start lifting up and then pulling my tails together. Buttery smooth. Yeah, the 2-0 is my go-to, especially like when you're first starting out your mandalas, the larger pieces. I usually start with the 2-0 first, and then when I get on to the outside, and I'll pull up that mandala we were working on in our Patreon class, and I'll show you what sizes I used. And you're gonna have your favorite brushes. So right about here is when I start lifting up and turning my brush, bringing our tails together, pressing down, pulling up. I'm going to get a little bit smaller here. Yeah, I think that, and then also that 5-0 liner brush is a great one to interchange too. That could be a 5-0 rigger. The way I used it here, this orange one. You can still get these long brush strokes. You can still get pretty long. Now let's do one more. Pink. There we go. So that is the end of our liner rigger brush tutorial, and these are the Dots of Love Canada brushes. Love them. If there are any other questions, I'm trying to think before I end this tutorial if there's anything else that I can think of. Oh, wait, I gotta show you. Let me just show you this real quick. So for example, this is a 2-0 liner brush. That's this one. I'm sorry, rigger brush. Hold on. So this is a 2-0 rigger brush. I'm trying to make sure I use the right terminology here because I was also using that term loosely. So this is the 2-0 liner brush. They're nice and short. Here also is a 2-0, and it just, the pressure that I've applied to it. This is the 0 liner brush here because I knew I needed to get longer, so I switched to the 0 rigger brush. And I like to put water on here on my paintbrush so that you guys can kind of follow along with the lines. To a 1. Like you could still use a 1, and it's all about pressure and what you're comfortable with. So it might just be easier to go up in a size. But yeah, I used mainly, I think I just used the 0 and the, I'm sorry, excuse me, yeah, the 0 and the 2-0 on this one. Okay, so if you've got any other questions, leave them in the comments of this video and I'll be happy to explain them. Maybe I over-explained, you're like, you said something and it doesn't really make sense, you confused me. Please let me know. And if you want me to have, if you want a one-on-one brushstroke class, I am more than happy to do a live as well. Just let me know in the comments. Okay, you guys, thank you so much, and I hope this helps. Bye.